Welcome to the Faces Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Hall, and today I welcome you, an artist, an athlete, and an energetic woman who not only knows exactly what it takes to be committed, but understands that success is what you make it. Welcome today, Flor, an artist, an entrepreneur, and a pull-up athlete. Flor, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good, Cody. What about you?
I'm excited. It's really hot in South Mexico right now, but I'm surviving. The AC is on full blast.
Well, it's not the case here in Montreal. It's raining and it's not hot.
That's so funny because I just had the chef from our restaurants who he lives in Central Mexico. He just visited, and it was beautiful here. And we look at the Facebook, and in Central Mexico, it's pouring rain. It's rainy season, so it's like torrential downpour, like flooding. So it doesn't. You don't have to go that far to get a lot of rain.
Mm, well, maybe you're a water person because you're a surfer, but I'm more like fire. So I'd rather have dry and hot.
So you're like fire. Why don't we explain that a little bit? Why don't you take a few moments and tell the audience who are we chatting with here today? Who's Flor?
Yeah, I'm an artist. So I'm a painter, but I also have multiple hidden facets. I'm a former engineer, I'm a calisthenic athlete, and I love to travel all around the world. So those are the biggest passions in my life, and plus of business, of course.
Okay. So you're an artist. It's very rare for an artist to be in business because you guys are usually pretty poor at business. What type of business are you in for?
I'm owning an art school, so I'm going to teach people how to draw. Either it's animal, faces, landscape, and they can draw with any medium. So it's pencil, watercolors, or acrylics. And it's really just a form of expression. So you don't need to be really good at art to enjoy it. And that's what I'm trying to teach to people. And it's an art school, so we're on a subscription-based model, having people following us all around the year, having live lessons every week. We also have a magazine that we deliver to people to
Oh,
their doors so they can actually touch it and feel something in their hands.
it's cool. That's really cool. And the question is, I mean, you must have an array of ages. So, or you're teaching this remote. You're in Montreal, but where are your clients usually located?
Yeah, it's all remote. My customers are mostly French speaking people. So we're a little bit in Quebec, a little bit in France. And we're also having a small English branch that is growing right now. So we're kind of all around. And people who are passionate about drawing usually are of any age, but people who have time are more later in life. But I wish people find time to draw and make art earlier.
That's really cool. Yeah, I just, you know, it sounds like such a great way to decompress and do something that probably uses a different part of your brain. I imagine you don't have a lot of artists signing up. You have a lot of people who maybe have different expertise or different
Mhm.
backgrounds.
Absolutely. People who become professional artists have to be extremely organized, dedicated, and spend tons of hours to really master a skill. And not everyone wants to do that because there's different benefits to art. And one of them is really just painting or have fun and spend a nice afternoon without the pressure of the performance, which is more my audience. But personally, I like to perform. I like to be efficient. I like to have results. So that's why I became a professional artist. But of course, it asked a lot, much more work.
And that makes sense because you said you were a kinesthetics athlete.
Yeah.
What is,
Yeah.
what is that? What does that even mean?
Well, calisthenics, not everyone knows about this word,
Yeah.
but it's basically body weight exercise. And when you're too strong for your body weight, well, you have to add more weight. So when I'm
Correct.
not making art or programming some marketing campaign, I'm at the bar, not the bar where we drink, but the bars where you do pull ups and chin ups and human
Oh,
flags and that type of thing. And it's a discipline that you can do outside. If you travel, you'll always have those nice bars where you can just interact with locals. And it's really fun. It's enjoyable. It's very playful and you can challenge yourself. Yeah.
oh, one, two things. That's awesome because that is such a I don't lift weights. I do only calisthenics. And so and all my calisthenics have everything to do with surfing because like you,
Uh-huh.
I just I would not just if I wanted to do art, I couldn't just do art and suck at art. Like if I were doing oh, this is so fun for me. No, but I'd have to be good at it.
Yeah.
right? For like, it'd be like with me with surfing. If I sucked at surfing or like I wasn't like focused on it, I would not do it. Like, it's so hard, it's exhausting, you get wet and all. So calisthenics is such an interesting thing because I do remember when we met, I was like, you are a very fit person. And so that makes sense that you hang off the bar sideways at everything.
It does. And there's actually a lot of parallels between calisthenics and business because it's all number based. So when I train for calisthenics, for example, I have an outcome in 2 months. So there's a competition. So I know that I need to make a certain number of pull ups in a certain time. So I have a clear objective. So that's my KPI, just like my business. And like then I retro engineer the process. So I know like what are the milestones I have to reach before the competition, you
I'm
know?
curious, how much time do you get to do pull-ups and how many pull-ups can you do?
Well, if it's time for showing up, you
You
have to
you
tell
have to
me.
show up, you have to perform.
Okay, my best pull up day, I think I was 22 pull ups. That was my best day, and it's just unweighted. But the other type of competition is weighted pull ups. So you have to hang some belt around yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And my best weight was last summer. It was my PR, 75 pounds in plus of myself for one pull up. So that's how you can grow your strength.
So yeah, so my biggest thing, I don't put on muscle. Like I go all for endurance and repetition because
Hmm.
I don't want to be larger. Because if you're heavier, your
Hmm.
board sinks more, and then you weigh more, and you paddle slower. So I'm all about like higher numbers. So that's very interesting. That is awesome, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is, and there's a lot of misconception about building muscle. I think I'm pretty skinny. I'm not that big usually. So even if I train a lot, it's not but muscle that are going to
Correct.
grow so big. Calisthenics is really like dry muscle. It's more like your condense and
Yeah,
strong.
that's exactly why I don't add weight when I do
Yeah.
pull-ups and stuff because I don't want the bulk that is associated with the strengthening of things and the mass of things.
Hmm.
How cool is that? All right, cool. So you're an athlete, you're an artist, right? What made you want to start a remote art school? Like that's a thought process. You know what I want to do? I want to have a video. I want to train people how to do art, right? Like what led to that?
Well, only one word: freedom. I think it's a word you like a lot too.
Yeah, big fan of it.
Yeah. So freedom to me meant so much things. It meant being in control of my schedule. I always hated to get up just to please someone. I get up early, but to please myself. But when I had to do it for someone else, I just hated that. So controlling my time, controlling the meaning of my days. Like, why am I doing something? I want to do it because it's meaningful, because it brings me somewhere in life, because I find it makes a difference on earth, having an impact. So being able to choose that is freedom as well. It's also, well, having enough money because you can make much more as an entrepreneur as an
Important.
employee. So there were so many things that I could gain from building a business. And it seems that my freedom was dependent on building a business. However, it was not that clear in the beginning because I was an employee. I was working as a mechanical engineer, and I was really in the routine of just doing the same thing every day for how long. And I really felt the despair of not having a clear path. And I didn't know that I needed to embrace entrepreneurship. So it took a while and multiple trials and error until I figured out that business. But that business was kind of designed from the desire to go anywhere in the world and work whenever I wanted and do something meaningful.
No, I mean, you have to align. I think that in life, if you get an opportunity to align your ability to make money with your desire to live, right? Those are really cool things to get close to. Um, yeah, big fan of I hate waking up for early for other people. Like I myself, I wake up every day the same. I'm the same way. Like I will wake up for 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to go surfing. Right. But if I had to wake up at 5 and then roll over and like get on a meeting, right, I'd
Mhm.
be mad. I wouldn't want to do it. Right. It's right there. So with all the places that you could live in the world, why Montreal? Right. You just told me before it was like all cold and everything. You speak English and French, probably other languages too. and you're sitting there in Montreal. Why Montreal?
Yeah. Well, Montreal, it's time for a little advertising, is a wonderful city in the summer. And we're in the summer right now. So there's tons of festival. If you like culture, if you like music, if you like dancing, just every day you can do something. And that's something I really enjoy. I just take my bicycle because, yes, I don't really use a car. I take a bicycle and I ride along in the city. I just go to places, talk with people, and it's really friendly. So you can have a life that is pretty full by just exploring the city. But in the winter, I'd rather go to other places like Mexico, where we met, or Thailand.
Right?
So yeah, I led that to the inspiration of the year to see where I'm gonna go.
Absolutely. Are you going to Bangkok or Barcelona?
Yes, Bangkok in the fall.
No, I will be going to Barcelona just because
Mm,
I literally most of my team is going to be at a conference
yeah,
that exact day in San Diego, or I'd be in Bangkok with you guys. But going definitely going to Barcelona next month.
it's a
So
cool one. I really loved
yeah,
it last year.
cool, cool. No, I'm excited for it. Well, that's it. So you're an artist, and everything. You obviously exercise every day. So are you from you know where are you from
Yeah.
Canada originally? Are you from France originally? Talk to us about your
Yeah,
origin.
I'm from Quebec, Quebec City.
Oh, okay.
So in Canada, we have this province that we call Quebec, and we are French speakers. We have a very unique, lovely accent that is not a French accent, it's the Quebecer French accent. So it's different.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can get offended about that. We're very patriotic. But as soon as you start traveling all around the world, you realize you're also Canadian because you realize not everyone knows about Quebec, so you have to be a Canadian.
Yeah, I'm sure the French remind you that you're not French as well.
Yeah, we're in the
The
middle. We're unique.
right. Yeah, that's cool. So you are definitely French. Yeah, my neighbor is from Quebec, and so
Oh,
he has a very similar accent as well. And so because one day I was like, listen, his French sounds different. And so I was like,
uh-huh.
what language are they speaking? Well, it kind of sounds French, but it kind of, I don't know. I'm not a French expert. And so that was really, you guys do have an interesting accent. I'll be
We
honest with
do.
you. I don't know what side of Canada Quebec's on. Is it on the east side or the west side?
It's on
Do
the
those
east
flush?
side. Yeah, and I think culture is very important in Quebec. That's why maybe I had this tendency to go through art. Um, if you want to know also why an artist has to build his own life online, is because you cannot really get a training as an artist and find a job. You know, so if you
Fair.
feel the appeal of creating something and making a living, you kind of have to figure out your own way because that doesn't exist in school.
Yeah.
And maybe I have a message for everyone who's a creative and feels like the appeal of making music or painting or drawing, and they think it's not possible because it's a big prejudice. People are like, oh, it's not possible, it's too hard, I will be poor, and they just reject this opportunity. But there's so many ways to get a training about entrepreneurship and marketing and start a business online. It's the best moment in the history to start a business online. There's so many opportunities to connect with people. You can really share a passion. And in the hobby niche, there's a lot of musicians, artists, crafters who are just showing their skills. And that's a great business model that allow to make an income that's much more
I
than
think
decent.
I think traditional education at large fails to nurture people with creative mindsets, whether it's in the
Mm,
arts or even in entrepreneurship, because I am not an artist at all, but I am a creative, right?
mhm,
And I think that, I went through all my education from elementary school to graduate school,
mm,
thinking to myself, like, man, I'm stupid, right? All these people around me are so smart, but because they're in a process that's made for employees, right? Like they're in a system that is designed to make you pick a spot on a team,
mhm,
right? On a company, in a place and work that spot. And listen, at large, the world needs those people. The reality is the people who are going to become artists and entrepreneurs that are actually going to be able to make a living is a really small amount of people, right?
mhm.
I know far more failed entrepreneurs than I know successful ones, right? And so I know farmer, if I always joke, if someone says to me, I'm like, hey, what do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. And I look at them, what the hell does that even mean? Right. And so, no, you can be an entrepreneur, but you should say, like, oh, I run this company, or hey, I'm starting this project. And I can assume that you're an entrepreneur. Like if you tell me you're an artist, like, oh, I have a
Mhm.
company where I teach people art. Well, no, I know you're an artist because you're teaching people art,
Yeah.
right? If you tell me you're an artist, the first thing I'm going to think is, should I give you money for food? Right? Are you
That happens all
hungry?
the time, so I stopped saying that.
That's so fun. But yeah, but that's my first thought process. Like, oh, when you say those things, it implies, because the world assumes the struggle associated with those pathways. And I think to complement your statement, absolutely. I mean, I rather be a starving entrepreneur than a rich employee, right? And
Mhm.
so I rather be that all day of the week, right? And
Mm,
so if you're fine with your passion and you want to pursue your passion, that's great.
mm,
Do like Flora here and combine it with some way to monetize it. Some people don't want to
mhm,
monetize art, and you're an artist, but you know this far better than I. Some people don't want to sell out, right?
mhm,
And so that's the thing. They'd rather be an artist who doesn't sell their work, which is, that you're
mhm.
beyond me at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what I like about what you're saying is anyone has to be aware of what's their nature.
Mhm.
Are they an employee? Are they an entrepreneur? Well, that's a duality, but it can be, are you creative? Are you intellectual? Like there can be so many things. It's important
Yeah,
to know yourself and to be really clear about your identity if you want to go anywhere in life. Otherwise, you're going to make choices for someone else. If you know who
correct.
you are, like it's much easier to just take a general direction in the right way. So,
Yeah.
as you said, like this system is made for the majority, and it's good for the majority because we need that. We need a
We need the
structure. We need to
majority.
make sure that you just go to school and you can figure out a job and you'll have money and you won't starve. So that's great because we don't want a nation who's
we
starving.
correct.
But what happens for the individual who don't fit? And that's an actual question that many entrepreneurs who are not yet aware of who they are have as a question, and you have to find your way. And I think that's why entrepreneurship is so hard when you begin is you don't know you're not like everyone. Then you figure out you're not like everyone and you're like, okay, what's my path? And the path is not traced. You have to do it as you're learning. And it's good when you have a mentor. I don't know if you had good mentors around you, but
Definitely.
that's something that does help to figure out much quicker than if you're just trying around.
Correct. And I think that's a great way. That's why when you go through high school, you sit down with, or your grad school, you sit down, well, what path do you want to take in your career? That's why artist isn't on that list, because there's not a path for
Uh-huh,
that program. It's the same thing with entrepreneur. Like
uh-huh,
they're giving degrees now in entrepreneurship. Great. Sounds good. But what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? Like that's a very complicated thing. 'Cause
uh-huh,
I've been an entrepreneur in the sense that I'm a venture backed entrepreneur where I
uh-huh,
have venture money, which is great when someone else gives you millions of dollars to do things, right? That's a different experience than I'm going to start my own company. No one's giving me any money, right? My team has heard me complain about my first paycheck hilariously. And I'm like, when I started telehoving, I never got paid, right?
uh-huh,
So long, right? No one tells you about that part of entrepreneurship because there's not a path for it.
uh-huh,
There's not a path for that artist that says, great, hey, listen, if you go to Juilliard Art School in New York and you paint some paintings and you dance, you're going to get on Broadway and we're going to have galleries that have your name on it. If you just do that,
uh-huh.
there's a path for that. Doesn't exist.
It doesn't. What I like about your idea is actually there's business models and we're not aware of them, but they are. So venture capital is one model, but there's other model that are made for solopreneurs. And that's what I was when I began. So my model was very safe in the sense that I just wasted my time for so long. So the worst thing that happened is just waste your time. I wasted a couple of thousands of dollars as well on failed advertising or things that
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
work, but you learn from it. So it's not really lost. But then when it works, the type of business model I had, I was able to make a little money, reinvest, make a little more, reinvest. So it was never a risky type of business like some other startups where you have to sell your soul before you
Correct.
have anything sold at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that was not scary for me.
that is a great way, but I mean, you it's a different stress. So the venture model is like every time I made a decision and had a failure, I had a board of people and investors I had to explain it to.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine being 26 years old and you're sitting with 7 board members in their 50s, 60s who are multi-millionaires and billionaires, and you have to explain to them your dumb activity. You're like, hey, listen, I did something stupid, lost a lot of money. Don't worry, I'm gonna fix it, right? That was like every quarter. And so every 3 months I had to sit down and
Mhm.
explain myself. And then you have your other side, which is like you said, like you just waste your time, right? You
Mm.
waste your money. And so, and if you learn from it, if you're learning from something, it's just a lesson, right?
Mhm.
You're not, you know, we waste money all the time at telehelping, right? But are we really wasting money or are we just closing out different directions and opportunities? We're testing like, okay, this is not the direction for us. We're going a different direction. This is not a direction for
Mm.
us. We're going a different direction. So
Mm.
process of elimination, but you do it with your money. And eventually, if you do it well enough, your time becomes more
Mhm.
valuable and you have more money to waste than time, right? That's the goal.
Mm. And the key word here is action. So if you just think about possibilities, but you're not trying them, you don't have the feedback. You really have to just jump in the lake. You will see.
You really have to do, and I think that's why Elon Musk will say, 10 failed attempts is better than one laid plan, right? And it's like just like, I said to someone yesterday, I think I'm like, okay, look, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna do this, and we're just gonna do it so we can fail
Mhm.
right away. Let's fail. Let's start getting some failures going on and getting after it. Because if you don't fail, we'll never know what's really going to work. And I think that's the cool thing about artists and entrepreneurships and why they're really like cousins. They're really close, oftentimes misunderstood. None of them are the same. You have extroverts, introverts, engineers, people who can't spell, people who can't write on both sides of the fence that are great at what they do, right? I know a guy who runs a multi-million dollar company. He doesn't know the differences between theirs, and there, right? He doesn't know the difference between that, but he runs a multi-billion dollar company. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to know that.
Mm. I have a question for you, Cody, because I think we're different on one thing. You're a
Yeah.
serial entrepreneur. You're always ready to start a new thing. I used to have the shiny object syndrome, but always focused back on my business and say no to other opportunities to favor a lifestyle that's a little more relaxed. Tell me about your appetite. Is it always growing? Do you have enough sometimes? You're
I
always on
mean,
a new business?
yeah, that's a great. I have an infinite appetite, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very disciplined, right? And so I only allow myself 3 active projects, and so telehelping being my primary one, right? And then like I own restaurants, but I'm not involved with them, so they don't count, right? I own them, they exist, but they don't count, right? And I have other ventures that I'm involved in, but I'm not like actively involved in. So I'm really focused on telehelping, which is great. Telehelping feeds other systems and other organizations, which is great. But earlier in my life, right, I got distracted all the time. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have so many good ideas and I can do all of them, right? But I can't do all of them at the same time and well, which is why I pruned the bush, right?
Mm.
And as I did that, I saw that, telehelping started really flourishing. My hobbies, I started having more time for actual hobbies, non-entrepreneur related hobbies,
Mhm.
right? So I used to be like, if it doesn't make money, it's not a hobby for me, right? That's a crazy way of thinking, oh, I just want to keep doing all my work.
Mm.
And so, I created more time for hobbies, more time for health, right? And so
Mm.
you have to, I think some entrepreneurs, many entrepreneurs, and I take this from one of my masterminds I was in recently. A gentleman was talking about how he just doesn't know. He has so many things on his plate and he wants to do them all because they're all promising, but he doesn't know which one to do. And
Mhm.
my thing to him is like, you got to pick one. Like, which one's the furthest one down the road that makes the most money? And then get rid of the rest. Because if you don't do that,
Mm.
you'll never succeed. Because you will die chasing everything.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Being focused allows so much more results. I also noticed that it becomes an addiction to always have results. And it's something you have to develop after a while to just give some value to hobbies that are just for fun or to moments
Yeah.
that are just for the moment itself without uh let's say money calculation behind. And I find it's
Yeah.
hard as an entrepreneur sometimes to get out of this and really live a life because we're so focused and metric oriented or KPI oriented in one side of our life, and then up, especially as an artist, then I have to be in front of like a canvas and just paint and relax and be in another mode and enjoy, you know?
Well, I think to put that in a different light, it's you got to define what is value, right? What
Mhm.
is it, right? For me, I like my currency when I surf is waves, right? And
Mm,
so, like, I'm out there to catch as many waves as I possibly can to
mm,
have as much fun in that time I'm having right there, right? They can be the best ones, they can be the biggest ones, the smallest ones. I just want to be on the water catching waves. There are days where I don't catch any waves, right? They happen. Maybe I bring the wrong board and it's just not the day for that board. You're not catching waves. And so it happens sometimes. Those are washes. It's the same thing with business. I am a result oriented person. My whole team knows I don't care how long you work. I just want the outcome. Right. And so like those things will never change. Business will always be about gross profit, net profit, and outcome. Right.
mm,
However, that's the nature of that beast. Right.
mhm.
You can't, as entrepreneurs, we can't apply that mentality to our life because if we do, it's a horrible life. I've lived it. I know it. And so it's
Mhm.
exhausting.
It's a real transition. I like you put it out as a currency. So it's true. It's a good question to ask in your hobby or in your free time. What are the other currencies? Um, might be creativity. It might be artwork as an outcome. It might be just a state of mind
Yeah.
or a feeling. Mm,
Well, is a feeling is a good way of putting it, like the other day I caught a wave and when I got off that wave, it was a huge wave. Like when I got off the wave, I was so happy I was smacking the water. I'm like, yes. I was so yes. Right. I was like holding my
yeah.
hands out. I was coming off the wave. I'm like, what a wave. Right.
Hmm.
That is priceless. Right.
Hmm.
That's a priceless. So I couldn't tell you how many days I had to do paddle training, how many pull-ups I did, how much balance training I did, how much
Mm,
cardio I did, how many pull-ups, TRX, everything I had to do to go in
mm,
over the course of years to catch a wave that's 4 meters high and kills people, right? Like, and to get off that after you're like, in that moment,
mhm,
like all of it comes together, you're like, oh my goodness, I did it. Right.
mm.
That's a feeling. It's a priceless feeling.
Absolutely. What I note is consistency over time, just the discipline to do what's needed, the boring work for that one specific moment where you reach the summum of what you expected. Either it is a wave, either it is business, either it is an artwork, either it is pull-up competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ratio is like that much work for this specific moment.
Yeah. And may that moment be worth the effort. Right.
Mhm.
And if it's not worth the effort, then you pick the wrong task. Start over again. Well, Flora, before we wrap up here, you've given us so much, like so many great statements and so many great pieces of advice. For someone who's out there that is an artist, right? And they're thinking like, wow, I'm destined to, be a starving artist. What's your advice towards them, right? You found a
Mm.
path. What's your advice to them?
For artists specifically, the first thing is, well, there's two things. There's skills, art skills and business skills, and they are not the same, but you can build them both at the same time in parallel. I was able to make money before I was able to make good art. So what I did is I started to sell bad art. Right? And because I made sales, I was like, man, I really got to get good now. So then I became a good artist. you know, it
Oh my
goes
goodness.
together.
I,
So yeah, don't wait for the business side.
Flora, I challenge you. I challenge you on this because good art is the art that people buy, right? And so, people always say that I'm selling bullshit, but people buy it. And so that's
Mm.
okay.
Oh my God. I will respond to your challenge by saying it's all about marketing. If you wrap in gold, you're gonna sell it. So it's
Hey,
just
100. Hey, listen,
it's
don't
just
ever
that.
forget Paris Hilton sold CDs. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's just say. But well, Flora, thank you so much. We're going to wrap up here today. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you again in the near future. And thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you for watching The Faces. Entrepreneurs are people too. Please like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Spotify so you do not miss any of our content just like today. We really appreciate you being one of our viewers and see you soon.